Hi, everyone. I hope this last week has been great to you. It's definitely been quite different for me having both my kids home and teaching you guys from YouTube. It's quite a different experience for me. So the first packet I'm going to start with is going to be the recipe packet. So I know the first video I couldn't go live, but I did do the first 2 pages for you guys. So I didn't get any questions on those. I'm hoping everybody understood that. It should have been review from what you've been learning so far this year. The third page is all about perimeter, which, as we know, perimeter is the outside of a shape. So there's a couple things on this page I did want to go over with you guys. The first thing is when adding with decimals. So when you add with decimals, we line up the decimal point. So one of the examples I wanted to show you guys was number 7. Okay, so when you write it, you're going to make sure you line up all the decimal points. I know all these numbers only have 2 numbers, so the numbers do look like they're lined up, but we're actually lining up the decimal point. Because when you add, you're going to bring the decimal point straight down. Okay. So for number 7, you're going to get 31.4. The next thing I wanted to make sure you guys understood on this page was adding fractions. So fractions you can only add if they have the same denominator, which is the bottom number. So 9 and 10 both have fractions, but they are all the same denominator. So when you have the same denominator, you add the numerators together and the denominator stays the same. So for number 9, number 9 is a square, so when you find the perimeter, you multiply the side times 4. So this is what your equation will start to look like. When you're multiplying with a mixed number, the first thing you do is you're going to multiply the denominator times the whole number. So down here, so you would multiply 7 times 3, and then you're going to add the numerator. So 7 times 3 is 21, and we're going to add one more, which would be 22 over 3. So you place it back into an improper fraction to multiply. Down on the next page, it starts with perimeter formulas. So those are all the formulas you're going to want to use when you are solving the perimeter on the previous page. Everything is there to help you. There are some questions with it gives you the formula. So like the first one is a square and it says perimeter is 4 times the side. So in the chart where it says perimeter, the side equals 3 in that square. So your equation would be 4 times 3, which is 12. So that's the answer to the first one on that page. The next part is area. I know for 6th grade, we just covered area before we had our break. So the formulas for the area, we know a rectangle would be length times width. Same with a square. Your triangle formulas, I want to go over to make sure you remember. One half base times height. So if we look at number 4, our base is going to be 8, and our height is 5. Because in a right triangle, the side is your height. So now you're going to solve it. So we're going to do 8 times 5, which is 40. And then when you multiply by 1/2, you're actually dividing by 2. So 40 divided by 2 is 20. Number 10 is a little different. It actually has the height for you. So in number 10, our base is going to be 12, and our height is going to be 9. It's the dotted line that they labeled in the middle of that. So 9 times 12 we know is 108. We're going to divide that by 2, would be 54. Okay. The next page, we have trapezoids. So it gives us the formula for a trapezoid, which it says is area is 1/2 times base 1 plus base 2 in parentheses times the height. So if we use that formula for our chart in the bottom, we have base 1 is 4 inches, base 2 is 6 inches, and our height is 3 inches. So when you write it out, it would look like that. So order of operations, the first thing we're going to do is what's in parentheses. So we're going to do 4 plus 6. Now we have 1/2 times 10 times 3. Again, order of operations, we're going to multiply because these are both multiplication. You're going to start and just continue to multiply over. So we have 1/2 times 10. So 10 times 1/2 is 5. And we would bring down our 3. Now we have 5 times 3. And 5 times 3 is 15. So our area equals 15 inches squared. For our next one, it says trapezoid 2. Our base 1 is 5 inches, base 2 is 8 inches, and our height is 4 inches. So we're going to do the same thing we just did with the first one. The first thing we're going to start with is 8 plus 5. So we have 1/2 times 13 times 4. And because they're all multiplication, we're going to multiply straight across. So 1/2 of 13 would be 6.5 times 4. And 6.5 times 4 is 26 inches squared. Okay, so for our third one, we have 1/2 times our base 1 is 10 inches, plus our base 2 is 15 inches, and our height is 6. So again, we're going to add what's in parentheses first. And then we're going to multiply straight across. One half of 150 is 75. And then 75 times 6 is 450 inches squared. So our three answers, in case you didn't write them down, are going to be 15, 26, and 450. And all of those need to have inches and then a superscript, 2, where they're squared, because area is always squared. The next page is area again. These give you the formulas, and then they're asking you to solve them. So for the first one is a square, and it's telling you that the area is the side squared. So we know from the second page we went over last week that when you square something, you multiply it times itself. So under area, you would write area equals 4 times 4. and 4 times 4 is 16. So the area of the square is going to be 16 square units. For the parallelogram is base times height. So under area, you're going to write area equals the base, which is 7.5, times the height, which is the dotted line that's marked, and that's 5.5. So we're going to multiply 7.5 times 5.5. I want to go over right here with you how we multiply with decimal numbers. So when you write it down, you're going to line up the numbers just as you do without decimals, and you're going to solve. So we're going to start over here with this 5, and we're going to do 5 times 5, which is 25. So we put down the 5, and we carry the 2. Now we're going to do 5 times 7, which is 35, plus 2 is 37. Then you're going to move over to your other 5. We're going to put a 0 to hold our place. And we're going to do 5 times 5 again, which is 25. Put down the 5, carry the 2. 5 times 7, which is 35, plus 2, which is 37. And then we're going to add. So 5 and 0 is 5. 7 and 5 is 12. 7 and 3 is 10, plus 1 is 11. And 3 and 1 is 4. Now for your decimal, you count how many places there are that are decimals. So in this first one, we have 1 that is a decimal, and down here we have another one. 1 and 1 is 2. So we're going to start at our answer, and we're going to count over 2 places, 1, 2, and we're going to put our decimal point between the 1 and the 2. So our answer is 41.25. If you look down at the next one, it's the triangle. So it says area equals base times height divided by 2. So in this triangle, we know that our base is 4 and our height is 3. And then we're going to put that over 2. When solving order of operations, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to multiply the 4 and the 3 together to get one number that's over top of the 2. So we know 4 times 3 is 12. So we're going to have 12 over 2. And when you divide 2 into 12, we get 6. So your area for that equilateral triangle is 6. I'm going to stop there because the next section is all on volume. So if you guys have any questions, you can reach me on Google Hangouts or by email.